There is a living animal that shoots a net out of its face to catch prey, and its design has not changed in 500 million years, and I had to fact-check this 3 times before I believed it. Not a spider, not a jellyfish, not anything you have probably ever heard of. It looks like a caterpillar had a very bad encounter with a garden hose. It hunts like something out of a science fiction film, and right now it is crawling through leaf litter somewhere in a rainforest, doing exactly what its ancestors did when the first complex animals were still figuring out how to exist. This is the velvet worm, and everything about it sounds fake. Okay, so first, what even is this thing? Because when most people hear the word worm, they picture something you find after rain on a sidewalk. The velvet worm is categorically not that. It belongs to a phylum called Onychophora, its own branch of the animal kingdom, totally separate from earthworms, separate from insects, separate from anything else you know. It looks soft and segmented, kind of velvety. That is literally where the name comes from, because its skin has microscopic bumps that give it a texture like felt. It has dozens of pairs of stubby little legs called lobopods, not jointed legs like an insect, just soft fleshy stumps with tiny claws at the tips. You would look at one and assume it is some kind of caterpillar. You would be wrong. It is more ancient than caterpillars by an almost incomprehensible margin. Velvet worms are found in tropical and subtropical forests across South America, Africa, Southeast Asia, and Australia, documented in detail by Oliveira and colleagues in Zookeys in 2012. They live in leaf litter and under bark, mostly at night, and they have been doing this, in essentially this form, for longer than your brain really wants to compute. Now here is the part that sounds completely made up. The velvet worm hunts by firing a net from its face. I am going to say that again. It fires a net from its face. On either side of its mouth, it has a pair of structures called oral papillae, basically modified legs that evolved into biological slime cannons. Inside those structures are glands loaded with a protein and sugar fluid. When the velvet worm detects prey, a cricket, a termite, a small millipede, it does not chase it. It does not bite it. It shoots it. The papillae fire pressurized jets of this fluid simultaneously, and here is the part documented in the Journal of Morphology by Baer and Mayer in 2012. The jets oscillate. They whip back and forth rapidly as they travel through the air, so instead of 2 straight streams hitting the target, what lands is a crisscrossing sticky net. The fluid hardens almost instantly on contact with air. The prey is stuck before it even knows what happened. The velvet worm then walks up, calmly on its little stumpy legs, and eats it. Researchers at the University of Heidelberg have filmed this in slow motion, and the oscillation is real, measurable, and precise. And it can do this from up to 30 centimeters away. That is roughly 12 inches of face-launched biological net. I want to be extremely clear. This is a real animal doing a real thing on planet Earth right now. Here is where the story gets genuinely hard to wrap your head around. The velvet worm's body plan, soft body, paired lobopod legs, slime glands, is not a recent invention. Fossils of animals that look strikingly similar have been found in some of the oldest complex animal deposits on the planet. The Burgess Shale in British Columbia, Canada, contains fossils approximately 508 million years old. Among them is a creature called Hallucigenia sparsa. And in 2014, a paper published in the journal Nature by Smith and Ortega Hernandez showed that Hallucigenia has claws structurally consistent with onychophoran-like ancestry, placing it in the stem group of the velvet worm lineage. 508 million years ago. The dinosaurs, the ones you think of as ancient, did not appear until roughly 230 million years ago. The velvet worm's relatives were already old news by then. They had already been around for nearly 300 million years before the first dinosaur existed. And the modern velvet worm today, crawling through the leaf litter, looks and behaves in ways that are fundamentally consistent with those Cambrian ancestors, documented by Ho and Bergstrom in the Zoological Journal of the Linnean Society back in 1995. So why does this matter beyond being a fun, weird fact? Because the velvet worm is a kind of living window into a period called the Cambrian, roughly 538 to 485 million years ago, when complex animal life essentially exploded into existence in the fossil record for the first time. Paleontologists call this the Cambrian explosion, and the velvet worm's lineage was there for it. Most of the body plans that evolved in that period, the blueprints for arthropods, for worms, for the ancestors of vertebrates, did not survive. They went extinct. The velvet worm's lineage did not. It found a niche, it worked out a hunting strategy involving a face-mounted slime net, and it stuck with it for 500 million years without needing to fundamentally change. And there is one more detail that I think is genuinely astonishing. Some species of velvet worm, specifically Euperipatoides rowelli, studied by Reinhardt and Rowell in the Journal of Zoology in 2005, live in social groups. They hunt together. A dominant female typically eats first, and the group shares the captured prey. A 500-million-year-old lineage, a slime net launched from its face, and social behavior. This is not a primitive animal in the dismissive sense. It is an extraordinarily successful one. If that just rewired something in your brain, good. That is the point. The velvet worm is real. It is alive right now, and it has been doing exactly this since before anything with a backbone existed on land. If you want more facts that sound like I made them up but are verifiably, documentably 100% real, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Every single video on this channel is built on the same rule. If I cannot prove it, I do not say it.